Now for my main conviction play. And when I say main conviction, you'll probably be a bit shocked, because Casper looks amazing, and it really is. I think it is the future of layer ones and all that. But if you were to look at my pot right now, it looks like this. So as you can see, most of it is TAO. So TAO, TAO. That's the name of the ticker, the symbol. But the actual project is called Bittensor. And Bittensor is basically the crypto version, or it's like the open sourced crypto version of OpenAI. So OpenAI has ChatGPT-4 and all that sort of stuff. That's closed sourced, a closed profit-making company. Bittensor is the complete opposite of that. It's completely community-driven. It uses, it has a very similar tokenomics to Bitcoin, but it uses the key drivers that made Bitcoin what it is: open-sourced, competitive, incentive environment. Okay, so that's what the Bitcoin mining environment is. If you're the best Bitcoin miner, you get the most block rewards. Simple as that. And it's the same with Bittensor. So it's like an angel investor incubator for AI projects. So basically, if Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tesla, GitHub, and Google had a baby and had some wild orgy, and the baby took the best bits of all of them, what would it look like? Well, it would have all of the amazing things that Bitcoin has. And I'm not going to... You can pause the video and read all this. You'd have all the benefits of Ethereum. Again, pause it just to read all the words. All the amazing stuff at Tesla, GitHub, and Google. And that love child really would be Bittensor. So what is Bittensor? It's like Tesla is, and like Tesla and Google are massive umbrella companies that have 20 plus companies underneath that umbrella. Bittensor is the same. It's an ultimate AI umbrella that incentivizes, cultivates, and innovates just endless amounts of AI startups and projects. So it's effectively like Bitcoin had a smart contract platform that's specifically focused on AI. And what it does is that instead of having Bitcoin miners mining Bitcoin, it has a set emission schedule, and that emission schedule is there to fund AI projects. So, does it transmit value? Yes, it is. It's a direct competitor to centralized AI. It's fair, launch, grassroots, no VCs, nothing. It was just the code was released into the wild like Bitcoin was. The tokenomics are very well thought out. There's more of a supply squeeze with the TAO than Bitcoin, because you can stake your TAO and get yield off it. So as a generic staker, you can get about 15% APR. But obviously, you're getting the yield in the token. So on day one, you'll be getting 15% APR. But what if the price of that of TAO doubles? Well, guess what? Your yield is now 30% APR. It is quite amazing. This future AI piece, I don't really care too much for the moment. As I said, all my brain power and compute cycles are here to maximize wealth by the end of this cycle. But if I was forced at gunpoint to try and pontificate what may happen with AGI and whatnot, I would have a nice bet that if AGI was suddenly born and released into the wild, as in, and by the way, this would be akin to meeting very powerful aliens. That's what AI would be like. Aliens landing on the planet for the first time. So AGI would, let's say it found its way onto the internet, where would it go? It would go places that gave it capabilities. And that's what Bittensor will be. It will be a place where AGI can come to and will realize it will have all these capabilities. And so it's a way of, not controlling AI, but just having a little piece of it, I guess. So it's huge. So the way I think of it is this. Imagine in your brain, I go, visualize a panting dog running down the road, chasing a car. Okay? So what's happened there is that your brain is suddenly visualizing a dog panting. You can hear it, maybe you even smell the dog. You can visualize a road and the dog chasing after this car. You can hear the road noise, the engine noise of the car. So just what I've done there is given you an audio prompt, and and your brain has taken that audio prompt and put it into a full motion video, right? So there's something in your brain that's done that. Now, we take it for granted, obviously, because we're smart, conscious, sentient beings. But if you were to try and do that for a robot, you'd have to code that. There's a lot of coding, or there's a lot of neural net training or whatever to make that a reality. So let's just imagine that's one tendril. Okay, let's just it's not the right word, but let's just call it a tendril. So let's just get my little doodle thing. So that will be here we go. That will be, I don't know, audio to video. Okay, that's just one capability that you have. And obviously you'll have a thing like ChatGPT, so that will be text to text. Write me an essay, write me a silly poem, all that sort of stuff. It could be, in our brain we have really good memory. We have basically unlimited memory, but the issue that we have is recall. Our RAM is not as good as our deep memory bank. So, you could have decentralized, distributed file storage. A bit like BitTorrent and LimeWire and what was it? It's LimeWire, not Snapchat. I can't remember. File storage, a bit like BitTorrent. You could have, decentralized, distributed supercomputing. So let's call it compute. That would, that's what AWS is and Azure. So one of Amazon's biggest branches is AWS. Well, Bittensor already does have this, by the way, and it is growing fast. So basically, if you were to try and recreate the human brain, you'd need all these different tendrils, and you'll probably have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of tendrils, all doing different things. Even, text to music. I mean, that in itself, a human could do. A robot, an AGI will do it. So this is what I mean by, if AGI suddenly came onto the planet and Bittensor has all of these tendrils, these capabilities, it would find its way into Bittensor. But again, that's in the future, and I don't really care about that, really, not just yet, at least. I'm focusing on, how can I make the most amount of money in, over the next couple of years, really. And that's really where you should be focusing what you for yourself as well. Things that you can control. So that's basically what Bittensor is, and the tokenomics are just amazing. So so it has a very similar emission schedule to Bitcoin, but the way it works is, if I again get my pen out, I can draw this. It'd be a little bit easier to explain. So at the moment we have there's 7,200 tau being emitted every single day. And the way that, instead of having miners that get gobble it all up like in Bitcoin, it's done this in a really good way. So 41%. So I'll just write this out. So without confusing you too much, 41% goes to the miners, and miners in this sense are computers running the algorithms. So you could be a text to image miner. So when a user requests a text to image prompt, that request goes to the miner, and the miner runs an algorithm and pops it out. So a big chunk of it goes to miners, a big chunk of it goes to the subnets, and a big chunk of it goes to stakers, basically, in a nutshell. But here's why I say this is like an incubator. It's like an angel investor incubator. Because what happens is that you have these subnets, which is absolutely fascinating. So let's say this is Bittensor. Let's use that T there. At the moment, it's got capacity for 32 subnets. Okay, so let's just call them tendrils, just like I did my other one. So basically, there's 32 of these tendrils. And what happens is each one of these tendrils does a different thing: text to image, text to audio. There's one subnet that literally just scrapes the entire data of Reddit and Twitter on a daily basis. So, I mean, it's generating huge amounts of data there. It's just a matter of time before someone comes along and monetizes it. And so if you're a subnet and so subnet 1 to 32, you get an amount of emissions here. So let's just say, or you get 41% of it, and then what happens is there's a bunch of people called the validators, and they allocate how much of this the subnets get. So let's just work this out. So 7200, 41% of that. So 2,952 tau is sent to the subnets every single day. So tau per day. And then the validators choose, what percentage each subnet gets of what. So one of the things I've said for a while is that these subnets are acting like a very deep gravity well for talent and capital. So let's say you're some hardcore AI scientists over here, right? And you've got a project, you've got a product that you want to, you've got this AI thing, and it's absolute ball ache to set up a brand new AI business because you need a lot of money and you've got to worry about customers and accounts and all sorts of stuff. And you'll end up with, or in fact, you'll end up getting VCs or angel investors anyway. But here, what they can actually do is they go, actually, I'm going to set up on this subnet here, subnet 32, let's say. I'm going to basically come along and build my AI project within Bittensor. And let's just say, you for the first few months or whatever, you only get 1% of the daily emissions. Well, what's that? 1% of that is 29.52. So what that means is, let's say tau is currently $700 per tau. So 29.52 times 700. Straight away, your startup is getting $20,664 per day, which, per month, times it by 30.42, you're looking at 628k a month. And that's just 1% of the emission schedule. And there are some subnets that are getting, 8 to 10% of this. So, this is why it's a gravity well. Loads of AI and talent and capital are flocking to Bittensor now to set up their AI thing, because they don't have to worry about the front-facing customer rubbish. They can just focus on the hardcore coding, which is exactly what. So I've got chocolate all over my mouse pad. I've been eating a lot of Easter eggs. So yeah. Now here's something else which I did. I've done some deep diving into all the top 20 coins in each cycle and what the market share of the whole market is, all that sort of stuff. And this particular excerpt from that is looking at not the peak all-time high, but a rough all-time high. Okay, because you're never going to get out at the peak. You're just going to get roughly out there. So here were the top 20 coins in the last cycle. So as you can see here, a year before that rough all-time high, when you exclude Bitcoin and ETH, most were very, very low, because the coins that become absolute beasts in each cycle or ones that are born during the bear market after the previous cycle. So here in the last cycle, DOT, ADA, Sol, SHIB, Luna, all of them, they became sort of the beasts of the 2021 bull market. And then during the rough high, you can see here that the percentage of the whole market share was around, or the average was 1.19%, ignoring Bitcoin and ETH. But this is me being incredibly pessimistic, because when you dial into this, what you'll find is that every cycle has a narrative. So actually, if you write down the 2013 cycle, the real narrative there were layer ones. Okay, so layer ones, things like Bitcoin, an absolute, what is the best base layer? 2017 came along, and yes, layer ones were still there. Layer ones were there, but really the big narrative was smart contracts. And that's why Ethereum had its run in the sun, I guess, because Bitcoin, which was the transferal we had the internet, the transfer of information, Bitcoin, the transfer of information and value, and now you had Ethereum, which is the transfer of information, value, and contracts. Which is huge. And then running into 2021, again, smart contracts were still a thing-ish, but really it became, DeFi, so decentralized finance, and to an extent gaming. So all of these absolutely mooned, and again, smart contracts also mooned. But this cycle, and it's already started, by the way, I'm recording this in early 2024. This next cycle, yes, will be a little bit about DeFi and gaming, because they always flop over into the next cycle. But it's all going to be AI. And if you can't realize that now, I don't think you'll ever realize it, because the biggest growing, or the fastest growing industry that humans have ever seen in the real world is AI. And it's going to continue for not just the next 2 years, but for the next 10 years, just like the internet did from sort of 1998 onwards. The internet fad or surge, or that tsunami never really stopped. Really, you had the tech bubble boom pop in 2000, 2001. But, Facebook wasn't even born until 2005, years after the tech bubble. So, we haven't seen the AI, the Google, Amazon, Apples, Netflixes of AI yet. We're so very, very early. And therefore, the next cycle, so let's say the end of 2029, guess what? It will still be AI. So now is your time to really get a head start on this AI narrative. Now, let's fast forward. When you look at the coins of the main narratives of each cycle, they easily got between 2 to 5% of the whole market share. And I believe, because this is so big, crypto always copies the real world, etc. You're going to be looking at 2 to 10% of market share for whatever coin gobbles that narrative up. And guess what? I personally believe Bittensor is going to gobble up far more than 2%. But let's be pessimistic. Let's say Bittensor is only 2% of the market share. Well, we can do the numbers here. And to save you the time, because the power law has helped, in fact, the power law has really helped us here. Because, in fact, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll just show you something, okay? And then we'll come back to this here. Discard the annotations. If we open up here we go. And we scroll down. So here's a couple of things that I think would be handy for you to see. So if we go into the log, go to the weekly, look at this. So I created my own fractal model of Bitcoin. It has these cycles, you have the halvings, and then basically goes up for a year and a bit, down for a year and a year, sideways, choppy for a year and a bit, halving, and then the same cycle. And every cycle high happens on the 1st of December plus or minus 30 days, every single time. And then the lows is plus or minus 45 days from the 1st of December a year later, every single time. So I'm expecting, because the power law suggests 200k Bitcoin, guess what? I'm expecting 200k Bitcoin by 1st of December 2025. Now, when you're looking at the domination or the market share, every single cycle, Bitcoin has been, so in the previous one, it was around 36% of the whole market. In the last bull market, it was around 39%. But because there's so many more coins out there and so many big coins, I think this time around, Bitcoin's going to lose a lot of market share. And it's actually going to be like 35% of the whole market. So what this means is that when we're looking at the total market share, as in how much money is going to be sloshing around in the crypto market, for a long time I had this bit of a cop-out going, oh yeah, it's going to be between 4 and 11 trillion, something like that. But because we know that Bitcoin's going to be roughly 35% market share and around 200k, we can see that the total crypto market cap is most likely going to be around 11.66 to 12 trillion. Hell, if it's 30% of the market share, you're looking at north of 13 trillion up here. But either way, it's going to be in this rough area, which also means we can now do some maths. Because if we go back to this here, if we swap that, and I get my little doodle pen thing out again. Here we go. So, assuming we hit that 11.66 trillion, 2% of that equals, I believe, wait, I think it's 233 billion off the top of my head. Yeah, it is. So what that means, Bittensor is more likely to hit around $233 billion market cap. Now, to put that into perspective, in the previous market cycle where smart contracts were a big thing, Cardano went from 0 to a $95 billion market cap with zero smart contract ecosystem. It literally went from 0 to this with like nothing, and it was supposed to be a massive smart contract platform. So this is why I say it's pessimistic, because if Cardano can do that, Bittensor, which is already pumping out real world utility, is most likely going to do north of this. But let's just be pessimistic. It says it only gets to $233 billion. Well, the circulating supply by then will be 10.5 million TAO in circulation, and that gives us, if I can just get my calculator up, 123 divide that by 10.5 million. That gives us, oh dear Lord, $22,190 per TAO. Right now, as I'm typing this or sharing this with you, we're $700 TAO. And I've been all in basically with TAO for I was a bit late to the party, but I got in at $169, so $170, and I'm still riding high. And when you look at this, 22,190 divided by 700, that's a 31.7x from now. So this is why I'm more heavy into TAO than I am Casper, because Casper is like a 13x from here, and really it's the next cycle where Casper starts to get into its pace and stride. But for right now, being really pessimistic, I see a 30x from here. I'm going to be really pissed off if we don't. But let's say I'm wrong by 100% and we only get 1% market share. Okay, great. Well, you're looking at $11,000 TAO. $11,000 TAO is basically a 15x from here. So hopefully you can see why basically 90% of my whole portfolio is in TAO. I mean, if we go back, if we go to my thing here, 81.8% is in TAO. But when you look at these, Zappi and TAO Inu, I mean, TAO Inu is a leveraged version of TAO, because TAO Inu is the bullshit doggy meme coin that is connected to Bittensor. And we all know that meme coins moon for silly reasons. So don't hate the player, hate the game. I know that meme coins and dog coins always moon, so guess what? This is the first and official dog coin for TAO, called TAO Inu. And the ticker is TAONU. So guess what? I've got, So really, my whole portfolio is all TAO or Bittensor related, other than this 12.4% Casper. And actually, this is going to be a bit lower because I'm going to be selling a bit of Casper. But so yeah, so that's that. Let's get back to where we were, because this video is taking a bit longer than I thought. So hopefully you're still with me. So yeah, basically, is there any point in investing in any other AI project? Because, eventually, if there is a good AI narrative, they'll just create a subnet for that. So yeah. So here's the crazy thing. Could $15,000 right now enable you to become fully retired within 2 years? I don't know. But there's some interesting maths that you can sort of work out from here, because with the staking, obviously things are going to be changing over the months, but because the staking yield has reduced a fair bit, and it will likely reduce, but let's just say it keeps on reducing till it gets to, I don't know, it hovers around 15%, okay? Let's use a different color because red is scary. Let's use blue. So what this means is if we get did I say 15,000? Yeah, $15,000. So $15,000 right now. So when you divide $15,000 by 700, that's going to give you 21.42 TAO. And let's say you stake that, and that means you effectively lock it up and you get yield. And by the way, there's no lockup period, so you can stake and unstake as you wish. What this means is, I'll just do the maths for you quickly. 21.42 times 1.15 minus 21.42. Divide that by 12. Okay, so what this means is that your TAO, if you're getting 50, it's a lot higher at the moment. I'm getting about 19%, but let's say 15% over a long time. You're going to generate 267 TAO per month. Okay, so that's locked in. The yield you get from staking is in TAO itself, not pounds sterling or dollars or whatever. You get it in TAO. So this is the crazy thing. So right now at $700, yes, your yield would be, that times 700. Guess what? Is $187 a month, which works out to a 15% yield. Okay, so 187.42 per month. But let's just take those two price points I mentioned earlier. So we have 11,000 and 22,000. Well, you're still getting 0.267 TAO per month. So 0.267 times 11,000, that gives you a $2,937 per month yield. And then obviously, if it doubles and it goes to 22k, you're looking at $5,874 per month yield. Which is why I'm saying, $15,000 in TAO right now could potentially end up in a lovely yield. Again, this just reiterates the fact that most of my pot is in TAO. And that's the thing with trading investing. You don't want to be in like a shiny object magpie that has like 70 different projects or 20 different projects in your portfolio, because you'll know nothing about all of them. So trading is all about having a very intense, crystal clear clarity of your portfolio, but have enough peripheral vision. So you need to know a little bit about a lot and know everything about your basket. So that's what I always do. So I know everything, or as much as I can, about Bittensor and Casper, etc. But I know a little about everything. So if there is a bullet coming towards my basket, I can pivot quickly. And that's the other thing with trading. You mustn't have pride or be worried about egg on your face. You've got to basically know when to jump in and out. Darling, I'm just sorry. My son's just come back from school. I'll come down and see you in a bit, darling. Okay.
Can you when you've come down?
Sorry.
When you've come down, can you play
Yes. Yeah.
what is it? Catch.
Yes, we'll play catch when I come down. I'm so sorry about that. So yeah, that's actually the end of the video. Sorry about the interruption. And yeah, Casper and TAO is it. And I genuinely hope this helps, and that it's been a broad brush overview of why I believe what I believe. So yeah, see you in a bit.